There's a jug sitting on a shelf at the sporting goods store right now with a big whitetail buck printed on the label. And the sticker on it runs past $40. One aisle over, that same store sells a 50-pound bag of plain stock salt for about $18. But the price isn't the part that ought to bother you. Turn that expensive jug around and read the ingredients panel yourself, and you'll find out why the men who fill their tags every fall walk right past that shelf without slowing down. Salt. That's the answer. Underneath the flavoring and the proprietary letters and numbers stamped across the front, the thing doing the heavy lifting in most of those deer attractants is sodium chloride, the same white grain a farmer buys by the sack for his cattle. The rest of it is smell, sugar, and a photograph of a buck that never once walked past that stump. The old-timers at the Northwoods camps worked this out a long time before anybody printed a label. Deer camp tradition holds that you keep a sack of stock salt in the shed and a jug of something sweet on the shelf next to it. And that's the entire program. And what the accounts describe of how those camps handled a lick site lines up almost word for word with what the deer biologists eventually put in writing, which does not happen nearly as often as you'd think. I'm Donna Larsen. What I bring you is deer camp knowledge. The woodsmanship the old hands of the Northwoods worked out over a lifetime of seasons, gathered from how those camps actually hunted, and told the way it gets told around a camp table. Plain, honest, and no gear attached. The deer haven't changed. The marketing has, so sit tight. By the time we're done, you'll know what's actually inside that $40 jug, why a whitetail wants it in the first place, how the camps mix the same thing for about $1, where to put it so it does you any good at all, and the one thing it will never do for you no matter what the front of that label says. Start with the shelf itself because the shelf is the tell. Walk the Attractant aisle at a big box outdoor store and you'll see the same category priced from about $15 up past $44, all of it sitting side by side, all of it promising the same thing. A 20-pound bucket of apple-flavored deer mineral at a farm store runs a little over $19. A big jug of the liquid you pour over your corn, same aisle, same buck on the label, runs up into the 40s. Nobody is going to tell you why one costs more than double the other, because there isn't a good answer. Now flip the containers over. What you'll find on the panel is salt, calcium, phosphorus, some trace minerals in small print, and a flavoring. A feed nutritionist writing for Record Rack said it about as bluntly as anybody in this business is going to. A lot of the products sold as mineral supplements, that piece said, are 90% salt or better, or commodity attractants with hardly any real mineral fortification behind them. Deer will clean them up. That part is true. They just aren't cleaning them up for the reason the front of the label wants you to believe. And that's the whole trick, friend. You're not buying a secret. You're buying salt with a paint job. Now, this business of reading the back of the box instead of the front has its own trick in Donna's Whitetail Bible. 101 field-tested tricks to stop going home. Empty-handed, because this is exactly the sort of thing that got taught across a camp table and never once got written down. It's whitetail knowledge set down in order for the hunter who does the basics right and still climbs down empty, with cheap field substitutes for expensive gear and honest signs told apart from lying signs. Set it against one jug that never brought a deer past your stand in daylight, and you'll see why the camps would have passed a book like that around until the cover came off. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So the jug is salt. That raises the better question, and it's the one the old hands actually cared about. Why does a whitetail want salt so badly in the first place? This doesn't start on the store shelf. It starts inside the deer in June. The National Deer Association lays it out plain in their piece on minerals for whitetails. Through spring and summer, a deer is running at a sodium deficiency because the green forage it's eating is loaded with potassium and water. All that potassium interferes with how the animal holds onto sodium, and the deficit sends it out looking for concentrated salt. That's the craving. That's the whole engine. And it gets better, because almost every soil more than 25 to 50 miles from a sea coast is low in sodium to begin with. Unless you're hunting the coast, the ground under your boots is not giving those deer what they're short of. The Tennessee research that the same association points to is where this gets interesting. Researchers there compared different mineral formulations out at baited sites, and the high salt formulation pulled better than 4 times the daily deer visits that the other mixes got. 4 times the traffic, and the salty one won it, not the healthy one. And the deer will tell you this themselves if you're paying attention. The same association points at several studies showing that whitetails hammer a lick that's high in salt and will barely touch a pure mineral supplement with no salt in it. The best guess anybody has is that straight minerals taste bitter to them. Think about that for a second. You can set out the expensive stuff, the balanced stuff, the stuff with 60 trace elements in it, and if the salt isn't there, the deer walk on by. So the camps skip the middleman. Here's the mix, and it is about as complicated as making coffee. Take 3 or 4 pounds of loose stock salt. Loose, not a block. Blocks are the least effective way to get minerals into a deer because a deer can only lick a block, while granular salt worked into the dirt gets eaten by the mouthful. That's straight out of the association's own breakdown of the 3 kinds of supplement. And it's the single biggest thing hunters get wrong. Dissolve that salt in a bucket of warm water. Add a good splash of feed-grade molasses, the cheap black kind off the co-op shelf, and stir it until it turns the color of strong tea. Now find yourself a fresh-cut stump or a downed log in the right spot. Pour the mix slow over the top of it, and let the rest run down into the dirt at the base. Then take a stick and work that wet dirt around until it's stirred 3 or 4 inches deep. That salted dirt is the actual site. The stump is just where the smell hangs and where your trail camera gets a clean picture of a deer with its head down. The dirt is what they'll come back and eat by the mouthful for the next 4 months. And the price of it, since that's the whole argument. A 50-pound bag of trace mineralized loose salt runs right around $18 at a farm co-op. 3 pounds of that comes out to a little over $1. The molasses is a splash out of a jug that lasts you years. So call it $1 a site, maybe $1.25 against a $40 jug. That's mostly the same white grain with a buck printed on it. Dad always said the deer don't care what you spent. And before you go dumping a bucket on every stump you own, understand that there's a hard ceiling on this thing. I'll get to it, because it's the part that costs folks whole seasons. Now set the bucket down for a second because this next part matters more than the recipe does. In a lot of states, everything I just described is illegal. Not frowned on. Illegal. And the rules are not the same 2 states over, so you cannot go by what your buddy in the next state does. Michigan's own definition of bait includes minerals, and it names salt and salt blocks specifically, and baiting is banned outright across the entire Lower Peninsula. Minnesota bans deer feeding and attractants in a long list of counties, and their rules spell out that salt and minerals count as attractants right alongside food. Wisconsin defines baiting as placing any material to attract deer for hunting, salts and minerals included, and their bans move by county. North Carolina makes it illegal inside CWD surveillance areas to put new salt or minerals into an existing lick or to start a new one at all because those prions stay in the soil once they're there and there is no getting them back out. Then you've got Missouri, which goes the other direction. Mineral blocks including salt are not counted as bait there, but a mineral product with grain or other food additives mixed into it is prohibited, and none of it is allowed in conservation areas. Read that Missouri rule again and you'll see the trap the molasses sets. The salt on its own may be perfectly legal where you hunt. The second you stir something sweet and edible into it, you may have just turned a legal mineral site into an illegal bait pile. That's a fine and a lost season over a splash of syrup. So check your own state's current regulations before you carry a single bucket into the woods, and check them again next year because these rules change on short notice when a disease zone moves. The rulebook on your state agency's website is the only version of this that counts. All right. Say the rulebook says you're clear and you've got the bucket mixed. Where the salt goes matters more than what's in it, and this is where hunters throw the whole thing away. The old hands set a lick where a deer already wants to be, and they let the deer pick the spot. That means the edge of a bedding area, a staging spot between the bed and the field, or a benchy little flat above a creek crossing. Somewhere with water close by, because a deer loading up on salt is going to want a drink. Then, and this is the part the gear ads will never tell you, you put it where you can hunt it. 20 to 30 yards off a stand you can actually get into and out of clean on the wind that blows there most mornings. A lick site 100 yards upwind of the only tree you own is a site you'll never kill anything over. And the honest truth is that the spot does most of the work. The salt is only the reason a deer stands still long enough on ground you already picked out. Put the same dollar of salt in a bad spot and you've bought yourself nothing but a nice pile of trail camera photos of a doe at 2 a.m. 4 ways hunters kill a good lick. The first is putting it directly under the stand, so every deer that uses it is looking up at you. Second is checking it and pulling the camera card every 3 days, which lays down enough human scent to turn a daylight sight into a midnight sight by the end of the month. Third is mounding the salt on top of the ground instead of working it into the dirt, so the first hard rain washes your dollar down the hill. And fourth is starting the sight in October, which is like showing up to the potluck as folks are putting their coats on. Which brings me to the one thing that Jug will never do, and this is the part I'd rather you hear from me now than find out the hard way over a few wasted seasons. A salt lick will not put a mature buck in front of you in November. That craving I told you about is a spring and summer thing. It rides the green up, it peaks through the antler growing months, and it falls off hard by early fall, right about the time you're finally in the tree. By gun season, those deer want acorns and standing corn and a doe, in roughly that order, and your lick is a muddy hole they used to visit. And it will not grow you a bigger buck either. Auburn researchers ran a supplemented herd against an unsupplemented herd on complete diets for 4 years and could not find a difference between them. Mississippi State found soil phosphorus tracked with body size but found no correlation at all with adult antler size. A yearling buck is going to be a yearling buck no matter what you pour on a stump. Age and nutrition build antlers. Everything else is decoration. So what is it actually good for? Inventory. That's it. And that's plenty. A summer lick with a camera on it will tell you which bucks are living on your ground, how many ducks are around, and how many fawns made it, all before you ever hang a stand. Deer camp tradition holds that a lick is for learning the neighborhood in July. The tag still gets filled in November by a hunter sitting on the right funnel with the wind in their face and a 30-30 across their knees. And that's the whole difference between the fellow who buys the $40 jug and the one whose chest freezer fills up every fall. The jug buyer is paying somebody else to do his thinking. The other one put $1's worth of salt in exactly the right place in June and then went and did the hard part himself in November. And that's the sort of thing the old hands handed across a camp table for free. And it's written down plain in Donna's Whitetail Bible. 101 field-tested tricks to stop going home empty-handed. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera and point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you're watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you will enjoy the video right now on screen even more, I can assure you on that. Click it right now, my friend.